Today we are going to do composition of functions. Now composition of functions is just an operation. Just like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing are operations, composition is another operation. However, it's brand new to you, so it's going to take some getting used to. It says the term composition of functions refers to combining functions in a manner where the output becomes the input for the other function. In math terms, the range, or your y's, of one function becomes the domain, or the x's, of the next function. The notation for composition is, instead of being like a plus sign or a minus sign or a multiplication or a division sign, composition is represented as f of g of x, or f, little circle, open circle, g of x. Now I'm going to try to go through this first problem a little slower. It says if f of x equals x plus 7 and g of x equals 4x minus 1, which of the following represents f of g of x? When I see it in the second notation, I do like to rewrite it with the parenthesis notation instead. I find it easier to see what I have to do. For composition, what you do is you work inside to outside. So on the inside, I see I have a g of x. What I am going to do is I'm going to replace that g of x inside the parentheses with what g of x actually equals, so 4x minus 1. Now I want you to look at this as if you didn't see anything else today besides this. If you saw that from a couple days ago, you know you plug in what you have inside parentheses into your f function. So when I plug that into my f function, instead of being an x plus 7, I'm going to replace the x with a 4x minus 1. And I'll write the plus 7 afterwards. Combine like terms. Negative 1 plus 7 is 6. So 4x plus 6, which is choice A. Let's do some more of these problems. We have f of x equals x squared minus 2 and g of x equals x plus 5 for these next 6 problems here. This one says find g of f of x. Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the f of x with what it really equals. It really equals x squared minus 2. Now what this problem says to do is plug in x squared minus 2 into the g function. So my g function is x plus 5. I'm going to replace the x with an x squared minus 2. And I'll rewrite the plus 5. Combine like terms and you get x squared plus 3 as your final answer there. Let's look at the next one. The next one has a number in it instead. What I'm going to do first is the inside. The inside says g of 3. So if I just saw g of 3, what I would do is plug a 3 into the x of my g function. So it would be 3 plus 5, which equals 8. Now, what I will do, I know that g of 3 is really equal to 8. So instead of being f of g of 3, I'm going to say it's f of 8. From there, I plug the 8 into my f function. So my f function is the x squared minus 2. So it'll be 8 squared minus 2. 64 minus 2 is 62. 62 is my final answer there. I'm going to leave the next one for you guys to try. Let's look at g of x. I will use the parenthesis notation first. And you work inside to outside, so I'm going to plug the g of x, the x plus 5, in for the inside. So it's g of x plus 5. Now, if I just saw this, I would replace the x's in my g function with an x plus 5 instead. So, instead of being an x right here, I'm going to call it x plus 5 instead. And then you have another plus 5. Combine like terms, we get x plus 10. I am going to skip the g of f of 3. Have you guys try that one on your own? But I will do the g of negative 1 on the right hand side there. So g of negative 1. Inside says g of negative 1. So I'm going to do that first. G of negative 1, replace the x with a negative 1. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4. So instead of having the g of negative 1 inside parentheses, I'm just going to call it 4 instead. Okay, so I'm going to replace the 4, or the x in my g function with a 4. So it's going to be 4 plus 5, which equals 9. And the last answer you get is your final answer there. And I will do one of these and have you guys try the other. So for the do now, when we finish this video, is to finish the one problem at the bottom and the two problems in the middle of this page. So it says find h of x if you know h of x is equal to g of f of x. Then we need a domain and the range of that function. So the first one we have here is f of x is 2x plus 1, g of x is equal to a 4x. So it wants us to find g of f of x. So instead of having an f of x, I'm going to call it 2x plus 1. Now instead of having an x in there is a 2x plus 1, so I'm going to replace the x in my g function with a 2x plus 1. So it's going to be 4 times 2x plus 1. Distribute the 4. 8x plus 4. It wants us to find the domain and the range of our answer. What you can do is type it in your calculator to take a look at it. When you type, and I'm just going to go into this spot, but you guys should have more room than I do. 8x plus 4 in your calculator, you end up getting something that looks like this. It's just a line, a diagonal line that goes up and down, and that they are connected. The domain, that's going left and right forever, is all real numbers. You remember we abbreviate it with an R with a line through it. The range, it's going up and down forever. So the range is also all real numbers. At this point, you can try the three problems that I skipped. First one we have